welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did, for different reasons, but we've got a lot to get into as it is the start of Act 2 for Season 19. This is the first Bilge Rats Weekender, and I'm very interested to hear what people have to say about this because I've got some opinions, but we've got a lot of news to cover, so you know what's going on in Sea of Thieves. With that, pirates, let's get into it. But before I do any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They're the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this content, and I appreciate that because sometimes the content that I put out is not always going to be positive. Sometimes I'm going to take umbrage with the things going on with Sea of Thieves, and I want you to know about that, but I also want you to know that I'm trying to make content that speaks to the quality of the game during the time that it's at. So there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and I want you to know that I'm not trying to be negative about this because I'm not liking the game. It's because I like the game and it needs to be in a better state. So with that, pirates, this is going to be a little bit more of a rant episode as much as I didn't anticipate for it to being like a full-on rant, but it ended up kind of being that. And I want in retrospect, I want you to know that I do appreciate your guys' support and that the episode that you're listening to is not going to be a reflection of my personal, like where I think the podcast is going. I just want the QA for the game to be a little bit better. So it's going to sound kind of ranty, but there's some positive towards the end and then some tangents at the very, very end with a little bit of spoiler towards the end as well too for Duke. But I just get that out of the way at the beginning of the episode. Now, after I've gone through and edited it and listened back and been like, wow, I was on a soapbox this episode. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. I hope you're resonating with it. And if you're not, that would be a good thing because at least that would then tell me that you're having a better experience in the game compared to what I was experiencing this weekend. So apologies in advance if this is something that made you feel bummed out about the game. That's not my intent. It's just what I'm experiencing and still trying to cover what's going on with the news and the games and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's get into the call outs. Thank you to A-Chick, L-Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Chateau Neuf, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Crazy Frog, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Jeff H, Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming, Elvin Vramir, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Rabid Raccoon, Blue Crab, Real Big Tuna, Reaps Revenge, Registella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Shoe Daddy 13, Scamelt 666, Tales of the Sea, The Demon Jester, Tommy D, TN Professor, Wild Hog Murph, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Hegger Owl, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zam. Wow. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support. It really does help take care of things around here. And, hopefully next episode will be a little more on the positive note. I'm looking forward to some positive news. Also, just as a quick reminder too, now that I'm looking at the calendar, this upcoming episode is going to be our Gold Hoarder episode. So on Saturday, the 25th, if you are a Gold Hoarder in the Captain tier, you are welcome to join in on that episode to share your constant feelings about the game, what you think of the Bilge Rat Weekender, what you think of what's going on with Rare as far as the dev update video. Have you checked out Windrose? That's the topic later this episode. Definitely looking forward to chatting with folks, and anyone that is in that tier, you're more than welcome to jump in. It is in the Discord. That is going to be, let's see, it starts out as always at, oh, you know what? I need to actually change the event on this. I just noticed it says 5 p.m., which is not actually the case. It's 4 p.m. I actually need to edit the event because it ended up changing with the daylight savings time. So I actually need to change that back to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. And what is the British summertime? I think the British summertime is in effect right now. So that should actually be at the main time. So yeah, it's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then 9 p.m. British summertime. I think it's 9 p.m. Yeah, because you guys are 5 hours ahead of Eastern Time at 4 p.m. So yeah, 9 p.m. Love to have Old Salts. If you guys want to jump in, you're still playing the game, having a good time. I see y'all in that Discord having a good time. It'd be nice to say hi and chat again, see what you're thinking of the game and anything going on. Especially if you're still checking in with the podcast. But Pirates, that's going to do it for the roll. We got to get into this episode. It's almost 7 minutes in. First on today's docket, let's talk about Act 2. This is the beginning of Bilge Rats Weekenders. And I'm sorry to say that I didn't have like a good way to kind of get this content to you, or this episode to you sooner, because by the time you're hearing this, the Weekender is actually over with. And I don't know if they're going to be bringing it back for the rest of this act, but it does kind of, that you can't participate in if you just happen to be gone this weekend. If this was the only Weekender, I think it's kind of a bummer, because if you didn't jump in at the beginning of the season on Act 2, which because of a lot of bugs that we've had in the past, I wouldn't blame people for taking the first week off until things get fixed, because, and I'm not even joking about this, Sea of Thieves actually had to post an SOT info and support post letting people know that the team is aware of an issue where the Bilge Rats Weekender challenge list appears to be empty. Now, to me, this seems wild. It seems absolutely wild that the main thing that is going on for one weekend, and unfortunately, I don't know this for sure. I haven't seen anything, and I'm going to be like, as I'm doing this, I'm going to be taking a look to see if there's any mention of them saying that this is going to be happening over again during Act 2, during this 4-weekend section of season 19, that they're going to have it more than just one weekend, the first weekend that it's available, and it's buggy. I'm hoping that they will take into consideration the fact that people just aren't going to be available. And I really, really dislike the fact that if people were busy, and I don't know if you guys pay attention too much outside of normal, like Sea of Thieves kind of stuff. Like if Sea of Thieves is your main game, then you probably have no problem with this. You're jumping in on a regular basis. But if Sea of Thieves isn't your main game and you had plans or a life or anything going on this weekend and you missed out, you probably missed out on the only thing that was happening this act. And that is just honestly, just completely up. And I don't know why this was perceived as a good idea. I thought it was silly that the Weekender was going to be called a Weekender when it was going to be during the month. And then I realized it's only a weekend. So congratulations, Rare, on the FOMO. You've definitely created it. To any and all of you who didn't know or hear about this or prepare to have time this weekend to do this, I'm sorry. That sucks. It genuinely sucks, because there was a lot of stuff that you could do to an extent. There were a lot of voyages. There's 4 voyages, as I recall. There were 2 for Hunter's Call, which one of them was a 3 pools of 4 fish. So 12 fish total that were rare, that were worth like around 2,000 to 3,000 gold if you turned them in, depending on if you had a emissary flag up. I turned them into Reaper, so I got the baseline for that because I still need that commendation. And then you had the Merrick's recipe, which had you go out and get different types of creatures in the world, and you had to cook them or not cook them, and then turn them into representatives of the Hunter's Call to get the most out of it. to complete that voyage. But then on top of that, they had the Lost Shipment Smuggler voyage, and then they had the Smuggler regular voyage, which was a cache. And for the Smuggler stuff, I'll say it is effectively you going out to a shipwreck, surviving 5 waves of sirens, and then you get a key and it opens up the door to the shipwreck. I actually liked this. I thought, because they had food around there. There was water down by the shipwreck, and there were tridents, Disney sticks around the actual shipwreck. So you could actually, and an ammo crate. They actually had an ammo crate kind of floating in the water, and it felt like a recent wreck. It felt like a recent wreck. And I appreciated that aspect of it. I actually thought, you know what? This is a lot cooler than a treasury, because this is effectively a treasury for one item. And to be perfectly honest, I would rather these than treasuries, because swimming down 3 minutes or whatever it is to get down to a treasury to then do 15 waves of whatever they are just to get a small amount of cash that you have to shove in a statue to then take the statue back up to there, talk to a merfolk, let the loot float up to the top, and then have yourself exposed to other people, like out and about. Like, you're exposed at a shipwreck, but you're only going to be dealing with 5 waves of sirens. And I'm like, that's reasonable. I think that's fun. It's short enough that I don't get sick of it, and it's long enough that I feel like the time investment was worth, like, okay, I'll go do these. So I actually like that. And there was still regular shipwreck loot in the actual shipwreck. It was smuggler stuff. I'm not going to grab that and take that there, but for the most part, I got what I needed out of it. I don't think that necessarily the amount of doubloons that were rewarded for it were fantastic, but that's a like a, do I care? Does it matter kind of thing? Like, time investments all going to be whether or not you want to have like that actually work out for you. So, the other one was actually a voyage that had you go from either Plunder Valley or Lone Cove. No, not Lone Cove. What's it called? Crescent Isle. And you would take that little doubloon case, which, I'll be 100% honest, I actually really like the cash that they give you, because it sounds like there's stuff in it. It sounds like you're actually moving like a chunk of change. So I really like that. And that was one of those things where I was willing to go do that, because it was what is it, like Wanderers, Merrick, and then Crescent. So it's like maybe 2-3 island hops from Plunder Valley over to Crescent Isle. So not that bad. In fact, the last one that I did, there was 2 brigantines in the Shores of Plenty. One was at Port Merrick. So I ended up doing a bit of a smuggling run. I sailed over to a couple islands. I went to Laguna Whispers, and I went over to Mermaid's Hideaway. Mermaid's Hideaway finally had a rowboat. So I threw the cash on the rowboat and actually rowed it from Mermaid's past Sea Dogs and then up to Crescent to avoid drawing suspicion that I had a cache. Not that people know whatever's going on when the game ever starts like a new update. No one ever knows what's going on, but except you guys know. And it's not because I tell you, it's because you guys actually know. You're invested. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't drawing attention unnecessarily to the fact that I was sailing to Crescent Isle, and I wasn't going to sail right by them solo on a sloop against a brig. So that was kind of nice to like have that little moment. The rub with this update is, 1, that it's only available during the first weekend and there's bugs, and 2, there's bugs. What is going on? So the Bilge Rat Weekender gave you a challenge list, right? And the challenge list was, it's okay. You had 5 different things you could do. Each one of them awarded you 65 doubloons. And for me, I had to resort to the post that they put out on social media to find out what they were. So it was stuff like that I was just like, man, that is just really, really disappointing. On top of the already existing bugs in the game and the stability issues, it's just really hard to want to play Sea of Thieves right now. But the Bilge Rat Weekender was interesting. I'm glad that there was a focus on one particular reputation. If you've been listening to the show any length of time, you would know that I have been asking for them to do something like this, but more on a weekly cadence, not on a weekend cadence. But having the emphasis on each trade company and giving you a reason to go out and sail those emissaries is a way to try and get more emissary flags on the map. It's a way for players to be incentivized to actually like go for a particular reputation. Yeah, a trade company. That's where I was going with that. And as far as like a theme goes, I think it's fine. The issue that I have is that it's just a weekend, and Rare is just committed to trying to force people to not do stuff other than play Sea of Thieves on their weekend, when a lot of folks like to use Sea of Thieves as their calm down time. They're like, go home and do something for a few hours at the end of the day. And it would be so much nicer. Now they've opened up about this with the Twitch drops. Like the Twitch drops have been a lot better when they have like those bonus ones that are available for an entire week. If you reach a certain goal during a certain time with some of the drops, to be able to open up an additional bunch of drops. They give you like the entire week. And the Twitch drops themselves, which were going on this weekend, actually gave you some stuff. It gave you some things that were interesting. There was one that I was just like, I don't know why they're doing this. But you got the gold, you got the renown, you got the Voyage of Luck. There was the See No Evil emote, which I'm pretty sure I already had. There was an Eastern Winds Jade Pirate title, which I didn't even give the time of day to go take a look and see what it actually says. I don't care. It's a title, and why it's Eastern Winds feels very weird. There was the Gilded Phoenix Drum after 4 hours. There was the Amethyst Mercenary Eye Patch, and then they had the what's this one called? The Sea Serpent Blunderbuss that was available after 6 hours. So it was nice that they had that. It was just for this weekend, and you did have to watch a partner to be able to get those. So that was what was going on with that. And with the Bilge Rats Weekender, I genuinely only got the 2 done that I wanted to do, or that I needed to do to be able to get the deed done. Because with Act 2, they gave you all these deeds that you had to complete to be able to get the makeup for the time limited thing. And the first weekend of the update, they botched the Bilge Rat challenges to be able to see those. So unless you had a friend who saw them, or you happened to go check out social media to see why yours was blank, you had no clue what that was about or what to do on there. It still counted, but you didn't know what to do. So I went with the easiest route. I went with the Sit on a Stool, Pondering Existence by the beacon on Crooked Mast. Because I'll do anything to defy that island from trying to rob me of any joy in life. And I'll have you know, that island is just it's a KFC at this point. The amount of chicken meat that I was just laying in the sand there is ridiculous. Between the snakes and the traps, you can tell where the snakes are because the snakes are just around. They're in the middle of the circle of chicken meat that is on the island, and then you can tell where the traps are because wherever there's a bunch of chicken laying on the sand, that's where the spikes come up. And it's like, this is just a KFC. This is just a KFC, and we just haven't started calling it a KFC yet. But Crooked Mast is without a doubt one of the worst islands on this frickin' seas. But I did that one. It was funny because people were like sitting there, and we ran into a guy, a very nice man. I call him Beaker. I don't know. I can't remember what his gamer tag was, but I called him Beaker. And he was like, well, how do you get it up there? And I'm like, oh, you got to use the grapple. So you got to set the stool in a certain location on the ground so that it's within the look down angle of your pirate. And then you have to grapple your way up there or shoot your way up there with a cannon, which anyone that's shooting themselves up there and not using a grapple to get on there, who are you and why are you torturing yourself? So do you need help? Blink twice. But I grappled up there, grappled the stool off of the rock to then bring it up to me, and then sat there. And the first time I did this, and I feel like this was just like a me issue. Some people didn't have this issue, but this was very much my experience. So I'm going to speak to that. I sat on that stupid stool for 5 minutes waiting for something to pop. something to happen to indicate that I did right. And nothing happened. Absolute nothing happened. The time that it finally clicked over was when I slipped off one of the rungs of the wood up there and plummeted to my death on the island, only to survive and then get spat on by a snake. So when I got to the ferry, that's when I saw the 65 gold or 65 doubloons. That's when it registered. When I died and I got to the ferry and the ferryman's like, you again? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about, oh, look, there's the doubloons. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't even want to get into it. If you could do anything to destroy crooked masts, if that's within your ferryman powers, I will wipe out an entire tree's worth of life. If it means getting that island out of here, I will burn Edrisil again if it means getting that island off of this server. So, and he's like, I don't know what that is. I really don't know what that is, dude. Can you please get off my ship? And I'm like, fine. Give me my purple lantern and I'll be out of your way. And I did. I really did not like the Bilge Rat challenge stuff. The only thing that made it better was Beaker, because I found H-Chick and I sailed over because I was like, we're going to Shipwreck Bay, because there's always a stool at Shipwreck Bay over by where the painting is that Pendragon was last seen before he got sucked into it and now shows up in the Sea of the Damned, lost somewhere for God knows reason. And one of the righteous characters in this game that I actually enjoyed, because he's an interesting looking character and an interesting character altogether with Madame Olivia and stuff, is now gone, lost to the Sea of the Damned. And I absolutely hate that aspect of it, but I can't do anything about it because I don't work at Rare and I don't set the story and I don't set the cadence of content and how that gets delivered. But I know there is a stool there. So I went there and I got that stool. I put it on our boat and I sailed us over there, and we got there and we got up to the top where I was going to put the stool that I did the first time so that she could get credit for it. I put the stool on the rock and I look up and there is a portly pirate standing in front of me with a black chest piece and a funny hat. And I read his name and all I could make out was Beaker. And I said, hi, I'm doing this. She's going to do this. Do you need to do this as well? And he's like, huh? And we were just like, we're going up there. Actually, no, I take that back. That was the second time that we ran into him. The first time we ran into him, it was because we went onto the island looking for a stool, and he ran up and I was like, have you seen a stool? And he just shakes yes or no. He just shakes his head no. And I was like, so do you have a stool with you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So we're going to ship. So that's when we went to Shipwreck. I got the stool. I was then like, you know what? I'm getting this other one done. This is the one weekend I have to get these done. I have to get 2 done. So we're getting 2 done. So we sailed over to Daggertooth and he was there and he started to set sail. And I was like, wait. Look, we're just trying to get some doubloons for the Bilge Rat Weekender challenges. I just need to burn some grubs on your ship. You can do it to ours as well too. We burn some grubs, we set some fire, we get 65 doubloons. It's doubloons. Do you want doubloons? And he pulled up sail. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God, Beaker. Thank you so much. I appreciate this so much. Beaker, here, do you have grubs? He's like, no. And I'm like, here's some grubs, go to my boat, put them on the stove, wait till it sets fire. I'm going to do the same here. We're going to get credit. And then we're going to go sail over to Crooked Mast and we're going to get this done. Okay. He's like, okay. And I'm like, thanks, Beaker. So yeah, that was my Bilge Rats challenge, a thing. That was my experience. It sucked. I didn't like it. I was happy to get the doubloons, but I was more happy that microphones in game saved my bacon so that I didn't have to resort to something desperate, which was taunting a skeleton lord with a trap loaded with a chicken fireworks, or trying to Shanghai my way into some other crew so that I could go and get them to sing Jolly Good Fellow in front of Flameheart. And the fireworks display. Oh my God, the fireworks display. Let me tell you, my experience with the fireworks display, because I was thinking, oh, it shouldn't be that bad. I'll go over to the fireworks display on Daggertooth Outpost and I'll go vomit on it, and that'll be quick and easy. No, it's not quick and easy. It rotates. It goes to different outposts. It doesn't always show up on Daggertooth Outpost at 9 p.m. Guess where it generally shows up? You have to talk to Larinna. Or not, yeah, you have to go talk to Larinna. She'll tell you which one's the active one. Congratulations, Logan. You showed up at Daggertooth Outpost. The fireworks display is going to be at Ancient Spire. What's the order? I don't know. Doesn't tell me in the game. I just have to sit there and wait. Okay, so this one's at Ancient Spire. So when I go to the Ancient Spire, I'm sailing to it when I'm sitting there at Devil's Ridge, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm fishing out fish right now for this Merrick voyage. I want to go see if I can puke on it. I'm sailing over there, and what do I see? Fireworks shooting out of nothing in the middle of the sky over the ocean. And I'm like, that's strange. That should really be over the actual outpost. Hopefully near something that looks like something like a launcher to be able to shoot fireworks from. Go onto the island. After I get on the island, it stops. It stops. I don't even get the benefit of seeing where the fireworks are supposed to be shooting out of. Not the fact that they're shooting 50 yards out from the actual island into the middle of the sky. No. I had a really not fun time with the Bilge Rats challenges. I liked the fireworks. I liked that the fireworks were going off at random at the 9 p.m. time in game that they were, and that if it happened to be at Daggertooth Outpost, I was in the middle of something at Sunken Grove and didn't make it over there in time. And I hate that fact, because I didn't get to actually go see what it was coming out of, to actually know like, oh, that's the thing you got to throw up on. And I didn't know what the rotation of it was either, because I'm just like, I want to experience the game naturally. I don't want to have to rely on external sources to be able to play this game. So I was very frustrated about that. I liked the fact that the event information, which, you know, that's something that could have been communicated. If only there was a message board that was like, hey, look at me, there's information here, and I'm going to put all that information on the message board. If only there was something like that in game. That'd be fantastic. But I liked that the event had all of the currencies for the things that you're turning in and the things that you're doing in the actual event information. If I went and got one of the Bilge Rat challenges, it did tell me that it gave me 65 doubloons. If I did turn in one of the caches from one of the Smuggler voyages, it did tell me that I'd get 200 coins. If I did get one of the things from one of the sunken treasures on the shipwreck, it did tell me that it was going to give me like 25 doubloons or something like that. And I only did the one because I was like, I don't have time this weekend to be able to do all of these. I only have enough time to be able to actually do the ones that are worse, because I was busy trying to get other stuff taken care of in other games as well too, which is really, really hard because Sea of Thieves has been so buggy lately. I've been putting other time into games, either a review for Pragmata, which shout out to Pragmata and Capcom for being such a good, fun game to play. Windrose just came out this week, and that game is actually good. So I've been wanting to actually jump in there and get you guys some information about another good pirate game that you should check out if that's what you want, which I'll be talking about later. And then there's like World of Warcraft and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, those are the games that I have on my palette right now. And we got Pragmata pretty late, so I had to put in time for that for the Xbox, for the Expansion Pass podcast that I do with Luke. And Sea of Thieves, unfortunately, after seeing people talk about the bugs that were going on in it, I just didn't feel like there was a reason for me to want to jump in outside of the fact of FOMO, actual FOMO, fear of missing out on the Bilge Rat Weekender. And sure enough, I know I'm going to be missing out on stuff. I'm missing out on doubloons that I didn't have time to get done. I am going to miss out on purchasing the Curse of Ill Omen from Duke, the Silver Serpent figurehead from Duke. Everything else from Duke, I have. Everything else from Larinna, I have. There is literally, I was actually very upset because one of the deeds I was reading said that I have to talk to Larinna and find out about the Bilge Rat Weekender. Okay, done. Got that. Purchase your first item from Larinna from the black market shop. From the black market shop. I can't. There's nothing to buy for me on the black market shop. All of that seasonal content is stuff I already earned. I can't buy anything. So I did what any crazy person trying to get this complete would do. I went and bought anything else. And the only thing else I had available to me was a fireworks crate or the letters of recommendation. Well, thankfully, the letters of recommendation technically counted. And I don't know why, because it's not an item. I'm just blowing doubloons for the sake of getting a level in reputation that I would naturally earn through just playing the game. But there was no cosmetics for me to purchase. The only cosmetic I actually got this weekend was the fighting frog cannon from doing one of the lost shipment voyages for the smugglers runs. And I was actually kind of happy about that. Actually, I actually liked the fact that I was like, oh, 25 doubloons. That's fine. Why? Because I got a cosmetic. Did I have that cosmetic? I don't think so. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know offhand before I actually got it. So that's one of those. But I know that the fighting frog set was a Battletoads thing, and that the Battletoads thing was an in-game thing that had happened before. So if that's what that was, then I already had it. If it wasn't something that was that thing and it was a completely new thing, I'm glad I got it. But it was very much a frustrating thing to be like, I don't like this. I don't like the Bilge Rat challenges. And I don't like the fact that this is only 1 week out of a 4-week month during which people are not all going to have access to play the game during that first week. And that honestly, it honestly kind of me off, because that's not fair to them. Should they be punished because they have a life outside of Sea of Thieves? Because I don't think that that's necessarily fair. Now, this is going to be a reoccurring thing. It's going to happen every month from now on. So there is an opportunity for folks to be able to jump in and have a Bilge Rats Weekender to be able to go and actually earn some doubloons to be able to get this. Now, I appreciate that aspect of it, but I still dislike the fact that it's just a weekend. And to be perfectly honest, I really wish that it would at least be like a long weekend, like a full Friday, not part of Friday. A full Friday kicks off on Thursday evening and goes till Tuesday morning. So you have like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to have that opportunity to do it, because people have plans. They may not have a lot of time to be able to do stuff. And Sea of Thieves is not one of those games that you can drop in for 30 minutes, get something done. If it's one of these things. Now, granted, some of this you could. Are you going to get all of it done? No. How long is it going to take to get everything done? It really depends. Depends on how contested things are. But I can tell you it's definitely going to take at least 15 minutes to just get one of those voyages knocked out. So if it's a long amount of time, I understand, like, it's time they want you playing the game for things to happen, right? I understand the intent behind it. But man, I really, really dislike the fact that it's time limited like this. And one of the other things that I found out too is they've tried to restrict how many of these voyages you get, when anyone can have an alternate pirate and have that pirate just be a blank pirate, because they create a pirate on an alternate pirate on your same account. And then you log into the game with someone who has a ship, you drop a voyage, you log out, you delete that pirate, you log on to your main pirate, you join your ship, and that voyage is still there. Then people are just going to have an infinite number of chests to be able to farm through that. And I'm just like, that just doesn't, there's more steps to getting maxed out on doubloons. And that's only taking into account the fact that you've already earned everything and you're hitting up to that 4,000 max. So I have issues. I don't want to belabor this too long. I've already gone on for a half hour about this, but what I liked the fireworks being randomly shot off, and that there were a lot of them, and it was pretty, and I didn't have to it wasn't another ship trying to do something. I liked the recovery of the secret shipment being a mini version of the treasury. I think it's apt. And I think it makes sense given the nature of what it is. It's a shipwreck. There's sirens around it, and the sirens are trying to go after or guard the treasure that they found in there because they think it's important. And they give you the tools to be able to actually do the actual mini treasury there. That was nice. I think that the doubloon crate, the secret shipment that you have to take from one smuggler to the other for 200 doubloons, is far better of a reward. And I like the little cash than the gold that they tell you to do when they first kicked off with this, because gold is plentiful everywhere. Nobody really cares about gold so much. Everyone can get gold fairly easily. So this is like a weird thing for us to do it. But if the smugglers runs are going to be the harbingers of death when it comes to whether or not you get doubloons or not, I would much rather they just stick to doubloons. Doubloons make sense. It was Duke's currency when he first started the Bilge Rat thing. Now he's the one that's kind of like the executor of the things that the smugglers do. Makes sense that for them, the doubloons are going to be like his currency. Now, Larinna being a Bilge Rat, or the leader of the Bilge Rats, it makes sense that she's going to like take currency as well. That's in doubloons. That's fine. I like the fact that Duke is a little rubbed the wrong way because Larinna is now taken like his role in the taverns. And congratulations to Larinna also figuring out how to walk through the door, crossing the mantle into the actual tavern. It's been fantastic to see. The disparity between high seas and safer seas is evident. If you go into safer seas during the Bilge Rat Weekender, you would have noticed that there's no celebration. Larinna is still outside. And even though she is still saying stuff about the Bilge Rat Weekender, there is no indication that that thing is even happening on safer seas, which makes sense, but also very strange because it's the first parity break that I've seen in game where the two versions of the game aren't identical at a core level of like things are changing in the world. It doesn't make sense why it doesn't happen in safer seas and it only happens in high seas, outside of the fact that it's like it's only available in high seas. Interesting. Don't know that it matters all that much, but an interesting thing nonetheless. So looking at the smugglers being the carriers of like the doubloons and smuggling doubloons, that makes sense. I like that. I think that's a fine way to kind of address like how currency is handled in Sea of Thieves when it comes to doubloons. They're the ones that give you the voyages to get that stuff. So what happens with all the other stuff in the game? It depends. I've had a really bad time this weekend with currency. Currency has taken quite a long time for it to register with the doubloons. I got an ashen chest from a skeleton ship that I sank. No, from a megalodon that I sank. And I happened to have a key that I fished up when I was trying to get one of Merrick's voyages done. So out of, means outside of an Ashen Guardian, I happened upon an ashen chest and an ashen key. And when I opened up the chest, I pulled out a tomb, a ritual skull, and a bag of doubloons. And when I collected the currency for the bag of doubloons, nothing happened. And I was like, great, the bags are broken. They didn't take into account the bags. The bags are not actually awarding anything because they took out the way that you earn doubloons outside of the ways that they currently have with like the Reaper chests and the Bilge Rat stuff. That's fantastic. 15 minutes later, lo and behold, I get like 10 random doubloons. And I'm like, did I hit a renown level? What the heck was that from? And then it dawned on me, oh no, that must have been the bag that I picked up out of that chest, because the ritual skull gave gold and the tome gave doubloons, if I recall. But the ashen chest is giving gold. And that was interesting as well, too. So all the things that used to award doubloons may just reward gold. And you can't trust that. So now you have to learn what are the things that actually give you gold and what are the things that actually give you doubloons. The Reaper chests still give you doubloons, which is nice because I'm still trying to collect those and open them in treasuries that I don't want to have to go do because they're so freaking deep. But I was able to get at least a couple of those knocked out. So while I wasn't able to buy anything from Duke, I do like the fact that Duke is going to be hanging around and that you won't have to worry about him only being available during the weekenders. I appreciate that. His stock is going to grow with new exclusive cosmetics that are just from him. The two that I could buy were both 1,500 doubloons, and I did not have enough time this weekend to go farming those. I was able to farm half of the voyages that I had that were available for those. I wish I'd had a chance to actually go collect the actual ones, but doing the lost shipment one for 25 doubloons wasn't worth it. And I only got 2 out of the 3 of the caches turned in. So I missed out on 200 doubloons there, but that's fine because at least Duke is going to be hanging around. Thank you to feedback from the community. By the way, it was their, that got Rare to actually like allow the stuff that he offers to be made available for a longer period of time. So thankfully they actually listened to feedback to be like, hey, this is dumb. Why are you doing this? And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll open it up. So I appreciate that, but at least it gives me the opportunity to go buy this stuff at my leisure instead of having to wait until the next weekender, which I may or may not have time to get into. Outside of the bugs and FOMO aspect of the Bilge Rat Weekender, I liked that Festival of Fishing returned. I liked the Merrick's voyages, even though I think that they're a little bit long. I think I would prefer maybe something that's a little more interesting than hopping around from different islands, but that's like a personal thing. That's not a grudge against the actual Bilge Rat or the Festival of Fishing thing. The rare fishing voyage that they had, the 3 pools, the payout for those is pretty good. It's a little bit easier, obviously, when you have more people and you're not doing it solo and you're not having to try and fish out of a pond that's butted up against the side of Sunken Grove, like I was. But that was all just like, I feel like it was just kind of RNG at that point. You know, you don't really have like much call. But one of the things that I did like about this that I found out because of the patch notes was that when the event is actually live, the Hunter's Call were offering bonuses for turn-ins, and they were actually giving free emissary flags. So anyone that hadn't had an emissary flag before because they hadn't reached level 25, they could still put up an emissary flag to earn some of that bonus boosted like emissary grade. And get that progression, get the gold and reputation from that. So that's a good way to go about that. I don't like it's the weekend, but you know, if it was like a week thing, I think it would have been nicer. But again, I'm pushing my perspective or my desires on this. What happens. I can't really judge on that. Moving on to the other aspects of the patch notes, we got some new stuff in the Bilge Rat Black Market stock with Larinna. So you can go over there and actually pick up stuff from season 19, which is going to be the Bloodstone Dragon Hat, peg leg, gloves, and shirt. The Shadow Tide mask, hook, belt, and serene hair. The Hungering One hooks, Hungering One's Hunter's hook, the eye patch, the trousers, and the boots, the famous pirate jacket, dress, boots, and belt, the scorecard and shimmy dance emotes, and then the Wild Rose music box and the legendary Smith of Bones belt, which both of those one of those requires the Pirate Legend status. And those, I have everything. So for me, this was a complete bust. There was absolutely no reason for me to care about what Larinna had because I already knew I had everything because all she's offering is stuff from past seasons. Does that mean that it needs to be in the game? Yes, it does. Why? Because while I may be the exception to the rule here, a lot of people were able to actually go and collect all of the stuff that they wanted to out of this. The fact that it was only going to be available for the weekend really kind of killed that whole like FOMO thing. So I know some people were probably doing some shenanigans to try and get these chests because after the initial 3 that you do, you only get gold. And that's like, that's just one of those like, oh, well, how are we going to circumnavigate this? How about we have 2 people spike a server and then they just sail around and trade chests? That works. How are we going to how are we going to manage trying to do this with multiple chests? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And people do, and people always will. So I don't know if they're all they're doing is just putting bumps in the road. It's not technically restricting anyone. It's just putting speed bumps. You just got to drive a little bit slower and you'll still get however many caches you want. So I don't know why they got to limit it. It only goes up to 4,000 anyway, especially since there's a limit. Rare, if you're listening to this, you put a hard cap on doubloons. People will buy all the stuff that they want. And then what are they going to do? Get up to 4,000 doubloons? That's fine. That just means that they're done, that they did the thing that they wanted. You don't have to, like, they're still playing the game. The only difference is that instead of stealing it from other people, they're stealing it from alt accounts and they're just going around it. I didn't go and burn grubs on somebody's ship without them knowing about it in some sneaky fashion that utilized the season of sneakery and disguises to waddle around in a ship. No, I used a microphone and I talked to Beaker, and Beaker agreed to let me set his ship on fire with grubs as long as I let him do it to my ship. It's not like the fantasy is great and the intent is there, but nobody does it that way. And that's the most frustrating part is it's not like you can build a path. People are still going to cross through the grass. You can put up hedges to make people not cross through the grass. Guess what? People are just going to walk through the hedges because it's still quicker than taking the 90-degree path that you built that you thought was a really good intention. So stop limiting stuff like this. You already put a hard limit on the doubloons. Stop killing the fun by letting people like go and cap out their doubloons, buy everything they want in Larinna shop, and then cap up their doubloons to 4,000. Because there's going to be people that don't have anything to buy, still go out, farm a whole bunch, get up to 4,000, and still don't have anything to do with the doubloons. Can I get off the soapbox? Is there something I can talk about that feels a little more productive, maybe? If you guys don't know, they did the doubloon conversion. They awarded the swords. So congratulations to anyone out there who had the 50K over the course of the lifetime of playing the game. If you got your doubloon sword, congratulations. Turns out I did actually get mine. I was expecting it to be something that was actually going to come to the game a lot later on. I was under the impression that they were going to take time after the 16th to like analyze and get the data together to figure out. No, they knew like in the time frame that they had to do it in. So I don't know why that was hard for them, or maybe that it was easy for them. I don't know. But I did get my sword. I feel bad for anyone that didn't get their sword, especially if they were close and didn't know it, because that's a real bummer as well too. Like some people may have been like 1,000 doubloons off, and once they heard that there was like, oh well, you'll get it or you won't get it, and we're not telling you how many you've earned to be able to give you a gauge on how much you should be focusing on it over the next month. A lot of people were like, meh, oh well, I get it. And that's honestly how I played. I was literally like, I don't know and I don't care at this point, because I have no way to track it and I'm not going to fret over one cosmetic. It's dumb, and I hate the fact that it's so opaque about this thing. Turns out I was fine, and it might have been because I did enough of the Ashen garrisons to earn doubloons to bump me over. But we didn't know what the cash to doubloon ratio was going to be during the conversion. They never told us like what it was. You could go to the forums on the insiders, but that was a placeholder. So really your best opportunity, if you wanted to play it safe, was hopefully during the actual community weekend at grade 5, talking to Larinna and converting your doubloons to gold through that way, which is exactly what I did. That's how I got like 8 million gold out of turning in my doubloons before the actual April 16th. Turns out it was the same thing. I was talking to Caleb about it, and he assuaged my fears of the fact that we didn't get like enough gold out of it, but they had converted it on I think it was a 10 to 500 gold conversion, which was it was basically what you got at grade 5 community weekend. So it was fairly nice of them to do that, considering insiders was like 200 to or I think it was 1 to 200 doubloons, or it was 1 gold for every 200, or 1 gold to 200 doubloons or something like that. Can't remember. Not going to dig it up. It's done. It's done, and I don't want to think about it. But I am glad that they got that out of the way, and I'm glad for everyone that got their sword, that wanted it and earned it and worked hard to get it. For anyone that didn't get it, I'm very sorry that you didn't. It seems wild that they couldn't have some sort of way to tell you on your account, on your profile, what your lifetime number of doubloons was. And honestly, if I hadn't gotten it, I would have been totally fine with it. I would have been totally, absolutely okay. Because I resolved when I found out that they were going to do it over the lifetime, that I was like, I don't know. It's not in my hands. I have no clue how much I've earned, because I've literally traded doubloons for gold during community weekends multiple times over the last 8 years. And I've never tried to keep track of doubloons. And there's no way to track doubloons in any of the captaincy stuff that we have. Like, doubloons is just not even a currency acknowledged in the captaincy. Like, they're just like, what's a doubloon? Are you crazy? Get out of here with your fake currency. That's not a thing. We could track gold. That's what matters. Track your gold. Let's track your gold and see how much you've earned. Doubloons, not a real thing. You're going to have to come back with some actual currency or something like gold. How about just gold? Just bring me gold. That's what captaincy is like. No word on whether or not captaincy is going to start keeping track of doubloons. But, whatever. It's a thing. So yeah. Yeah. I will be interested to see how this is going to work out in the long run. But outside of that, there were some other changes that happened. They did do some nice things with the faction battles. I think honestly, as much as I don't like Hourglass, they've done some really awesome stuff with Hourglass that I've really appreciated. So following player feedback, the battle bounds in Hourglass have been visually improved to ensure that crews can clearly see the point at which they will leave and risk losing their ship if they continue. The red water visuals beyond the battle bounds have been pulled in closer and now have more defined starting points to give crews a clear signal of where they will enter the danger zone. And the visual effect has been improved to ensure that they are clearly seen in all regions and across all times of day. The mists that demarcate the point of no return now have floating embers, clearly marking the point where the ship will explode if crews venture beyond. The fruit items found in the faction storage crates have been reordered, with the most beneficial items appearing first. So that's what you grab when you start spamming the grab button. Skeleton ship encounters, crews encountering roaming or ambushing skeleton ships on the seas can now find regular and smuggler treasure laden variants. Which is interesting as well too. The Ashen Garrison compartments, the broken emissary flags found within locked compartments in Ashen garrisons are now less likely to belong to Athena's fortune and are more frequently found for other trade companies. All of those things I think are really nice. I'm glad that they did those. I think that those are things that really just kind of tweak and improve based on player feedback that honestly need to happen. I don't know why these things are being taken into account, but the QA for this game is just in the dumps right now. It's terrible. I don't know how it works on insiders and then it breaks on launch day. It makes no sense. Like, I literally took a picture of my Bilge Rat challenges on insiders for a thumbnail. I don't even know if I used it for the thumbnail. Now that I'm thinking about it. But I had that in insiders, and then I log in day 1 and then I log in day 3 and it's gone, and I can't see it at all on my normal pirate, and I don't know what to do. I log out, I log back in, nothing. I even went and dug up something on Crooked Masts to try and assuage the gods of Bilge Rats, to let them know, like, hey, I'm willing to do something on this island. I'm trying, Rare. Just please. You're literally talking about the health of the game, and the first weekend, the only weekend of your Bilge Rat Weekender, it's broken to the point where you have to put a post out on social media to let people know what the actual challenges are, because it's not showing up in game, and it drives me insane that is a thing that you have to do. Hot fix it if you do, and maybe you can't hot fix it. Maybe you have no clue like what's going on, and they're aware of the issue, and that sucks. I hate to be the team person that's having to I hate to be the person that was QAing that, and that slid by, and now there's an issue that is literally impacting the entire community during the one weekend that the thing is going to be available for people to get done so that they can get the makeup from the deeds that are requiring you to do 2 of the challenges. And if you're not on X and you're not on social media, you're SOL. You're SOL. And that's honestly, if I was Rare, I'd be like, you know what, guys, we need to throw another weekend in because we botched the first one, and that's just not acceptable. And I'd be like, you know, I don't care how. I don't care what are we working on? Custom seas? What do we got going? We got last ship standing. Fine. We're doing test cases for last ship standing. That's what we're working on. We have 3 weeks to get one more weekend of this Bilge Rats Weekender going, and the challenges list needs to work so that people can get their deeds done for this act. That's going to be for the entire month, but only one. I'm over it. I'm actually over it. So I don't know. I'm probably focusing too much on that, but it just frustrates the heck out of me. And it's just one of the things that I'm like, man, when I jump into other games and I don't have problems and I come back to Sea of Thieves, I realize how other games are just better right now. And I would be disappointed in where Sea of Thieves has gone after having so much awesome history that I'm just frustrated. And I'm like, I want to enjoy this game. I love this game. Why is it fighting me?
Hey everyone. In this month's update, I'm going to hit some of the feedback we've seen following the Community Direct. How we're bringing new items to the Outpost stores, share an update on game health with a focus on content creation, and talk about an upcoming game health bash, and then finish with an experiment we've got coming in Season 20. And failed to hit the mark. There you go, I said it again.
Hey, Drew's not here. I hope you guys didn't think he was here, but he did have a dev update for us on the 15th. And I think it's important to talk about because it once again addresses some of the major issues with the game. The fact that the communication about Season 20 is been muddled, and that they've also got some Outpost cosmetic things that are going to be changing, the streamer settings that are going to be changing, the game health bash that they did, which was nice to hear. And it's I'll get into it first, but let's kick things off with the Season 20 clarification that Drew talked about. Yes, custom seas are it. That's it. There's nothing coming to custom seas, and nothing coming in Season 20 that's going to be beyond custom seas. Custom seas is it. They're not trying to hide something big that they're going to reveal in June when they have the Xbox showcase. They're not going to promise anything right now. And to be perfectly honest, I think that is very self-aware right now, because I think if they were saying custom seas are what we're bringing into Season 20 and more in store in the future, I'd be like, no, I don't. You're not ready for this. And you haven't given me the faith that you have this under control, because there's so many issues with the game right now that the player experience is not where it needs to be to start introducing new content. The custom seas is one thing, but they've been working on this for so many years at this point that I would much rather just please get it done and get it out so that you can then focus on adventure, because it's sucking up so many resources apparently, that even stuff where like the game health team is now focused on last ship standing being a polished experience. Cool. The second act of Season 19 is really not great for me, at least. I'm sure it's fine for other people, but it's not a universal yay. And that's frustrating. It seems like the Hourglass changes, which were changes, not new content, are like one of the few things that have come off really well. And now the one thing that is new that they want to get right is the thing that everyone's focusing on, which is the last ship standing, which good. I'm glad, because I want that to be a good thing. But there's nothing big coming in Season 20 outside of custom seas. And custom seas is going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting to see what people do with it. It's going to give players an opportunity to really kind of just come up with some fantastic types of Sea of Thieves shots. The events are going to be interesting when content creators get their hands on it. It's just one of those things that it's not going to be a big flashy thing. They're not ready for that. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know that I would trust that season 21 will be somewhere where they're set for that. I'm not sure three months on season 20 will be enough of time for them to be able to put together whatever they had in store, which was like the Kraken encounter and the Widow Orb that grows in value the more you hold on to it during its server setting. It's clear that Rare is this is if you were looking for a point where Sea of Thieves was really bad and looked for a turning point, season 19 has to be that turning point. Season 20 has to be that break that gives them an opportunity to really get their feet underneath of them and say what is important to the community in keeping this game alive. And I can tell you right now, them saying that they had a game health bash, which all I can understand is that is them saying, hey, we sat down and played our game for a while and here's what we figured out. And I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that they actually sat down to play their game, because just building the game was not enough to make the game feel good. You can't just go through a bunch of, it's funny because I test this stuff in my job. In my job right now, I'm a UI tester. I'm a QA dev for my company. And my job is to go in and look at the user experience and to test the UI and see if it's working, see if it makes sense. Does it actually feel good to actually use the UI? And if it doesn't, say something, and say something before it gets implemented. And if I don't, that is me doing a bad job. That is how I get fired, by not catching stuff before it gets to production and making other people look bad, and then making my bosses have to explain to their bosses why stuff is broke and how it didn't get fixed. And my recourse of I missed it is not good enough. That is not a good enough answer in my job. So I don't know why it's okay for stuff like this. And I understand, complicated thing, whatever. If that's the issue, pull people off of teams that are building content and help the QA, because that's what's happening in my job. People who are not supposed to be doing, or people who are supposed to be doing other things, are getting pulled off of that and helping with the QA of what a project is going on. It has to happen. It has to be a good experience. If your customers are not happy, they're not going to use your product. That is just, y'all remember when Chipotle had a really bad reputation? Yeah. It took a lot of effort for them to start getting back some of that faith in that company before people trusted going back to Chipotle and not getting sick. If Sea of Thieves is finally doing a game health bash session, this should be at least once a season. Once a season, you spend a few days sitting down with your team members and playing sessions of Sea of Thieves with each other, not in the way that you intend the game to play, that you think players, you want your players to play the game. Play it on live servers with other people. Don't play it in-house with just your devs, because the devs are going to play the game the way they want the community to play the game, not the way the community is playing the game. You have to play with other people who do not know who you are, and you find out just what people are doing in the game. And you can't trust to watch streamers just doing that. You have to play the game, and you have to run into other players, and you have to see what's happening in the live session, in the live game, not on a test build, not in optimal circumstances where everyone understands why they're there and what they're doing, and everyone's going to play around the way they want to. No, play it on live where there are dirty, rotten pirates out there who are doing whatever they can and saying whatever they want in the game. Feel the pain, get in the dirt, figure out what your community is like, because that's how you're going to find the issues. That's how you're going to find those things that are just really frustrating from a consumer perspective. I hope that's what that was. I genuinely hope that was, because if it was just the studio sitting down and playing the game together to see if it's working or not working and trying to take notes and whatnot, that's good to a degree. And there were some definite things that they talked about, or that Drew talked about in this video, that have been long-standing health issues. Merchant crates, the mast issue. Didn't bring up the fact that that if you slam your sword against the bell too much, you'll DC. That's a long-standing bug. I'm pretty sure that's still in the game. There's lots of things that he talked about that they're going to be addressing, and I'm glad for that, and that some of those are long-standing issues, but it is not nearly the entirety of the issues going on with the game. The random issues that have been happening, the hard to replicate bugs that we run into, and having posts go out about the Bilge Rats Weekenders just shows like you really have to just go and play the live game. You have to play the live game with other people who have been playing the game for a lot of hours and don't care about the way that the devs intended to play the game. Play with people that don't know what the intent of what the developer's intent was when they put this in, how you should be playing it, the way they implemented it. Play it the way that people figured out how to play it and figure out how to get around stuff. Because dying in front of using a keg to kill yourself in front of the Ashen Garrison vault chambers, the little things, to be able to see 15 frames of what's inside of it as you're in the death animation to see whether or not that particular compartment deserves to get the Ashen Key, is how the community plays the game. That's how they play the game. They don't go out there and fish for 3 hours to try and get enough Ashen Keys to open them all up. No, they circumvent it by dying in front of the thing and then recording it, or seeing if there's an oath in there or a flag in there. You have to play with other people. You have to play with people who are playing the game and know the cheats, know the shortcuts, know the exploits that are messing with it. You guys said a long time ago, I'm talking to Rare right now. You guys said a long time ago that you were going to hire people who were from the community to advise on the game health. What happened to that? Where is that? Is that been done? Has that been implemented? Do we know who the folks are? Can you talk about that? Can they be open about that? Is there an NDA? What are the things that they are bringing to the table that they know are long-standing issues with the game that you are working to address? Because if it hasn't happened, they're the ones that know about it. And a lot of the streamers are the ones that know about it. And right now, the streamers are dropping like flies. They're dropping fast. I've seen more partners, Sea of Thieves partners, announce that they are officially quitting Sea of Thieves because they haven't been playing it in a long time, and they found that their community has followed them to other games, whether it's Hunt Showdown or Arc Raiders or Marathon, or it's going to be Windrose soon. Those are the issues that I'm seeing, is that the community is so sick of the bugs and so sick of the issues going on with the game that they are actually playing other games to the point where they're finally coming out and saying, I'm done with this game. Ophi came out and said, I'm done with this game. Crowtuck came out and said, I'm done with this game. You still have staples like Falcor, like Fuzzy, like there's a lot of like Britty Bear out there. There's still plenty of staples out there, but there's also people on the edge. And if you start losing some of those community points of like the folks that are like out there trying to be the gold standard of like what would be a good person to go watch, who are enthused about the game, it's dude, you got to do something, man. And I just don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. So I hope that has actually happened. And I'm glad to hear that there's a game health bash going on in the studio, because it felt overdue. And if they hadn't been playing their own game, hearing that they are now is frightening, that they're just now having these kind of things. I don't know why these aren't on the schedule all the time. I don't know why the studio is just making the game and not seeing how the game actually plays. Like I said, if my boss found out that I was writing up stuff, if I was doing QA for something and not actually looking at the actual product while I'm writing up reports, they'd be like, no, you're done. How could you possibly know how to fix issues if you're not even using the product? It's just, it's so wild to me. And I know this has been nothing but an absolute rant of an episode, but when I hear that they are going to be doing game health bashes. I'm like, that's fantastic. Why is this a new announcement? I don't understand that. Then to come to find out that they're actually going to try and centralize settings in the game because Burnt Peanut, who garnered thousands upon thousands of fans during his Arcs Raiders streams last year, has now moved on to Rust. That Rust is doing so well for him. He is bringing in so many streamers into this Rust server that the Face Punch, I think is the studio. I can't remember. Rust is actually working with Burnt Peanut to get cosmetics, to do promotional stuff with Burnt Peanut, who is literally bringing in the neighborhood of 30 to 50,000 viewers per stream. That is 2 to 3 times more on average than Steam shows as far as daily active users for Rare or for Sea of Thieves. I was checking today just out of curiosity. Not that this is an indicator of like the full number of people playing Sea of Thieves, because it's not. It's just one small piece of the pie. I was very surprised this weekend to actually see 14,000 people on Steam were playing Sea of Thieves, because it has been as low as 5,000 and it hovers around 9. And it was actually a busy weekend for Sea of Thieves on Steam. And I was happy to see that, because I'm like, that's cool. It means that people are going out and engaging with this content. If it's because it's FOMO, I understand, which means as soon as this weekend's over, it drops. It goes in the gutter, and it has to wait until the next thing. But if we're only getting one Bilge Rat Weekender in this month, there's no reason to come back to Sea of Thieves to do anything. There's no, outside of doing stuff that you're normally doing on a regular basis, which for me, commendation grinding. I love my commendations. I love working on them. I've got like a few in my mind that I'm currently working through, and had just now started kind of working on the crying chest on your ship for 100 nautical miles. Like that was something I was like, need to start working on those. But they're bringing the streamer settings into like a main streamer mode on Sea of Thieves, which the fact that it took the Burnt Peanut 2 attempts, both got DDoSed and doxed, as far as like his experience and his community, seeing that there are people in Sea of Thieves that would rather watch this game burn than embrace having a big streamer come and check it out, speaks to the type of community that is being allowed right now, and the lack of tool set that's available to streamers to be able to actually play the game in a normal state that allows them to engage with the content the way it was back in the first year, back before there were people who were actively trying to harm the health of the game by DDoSing streamers, by stream sniping and stuff. And it really just killed the momentum, because Burnt Peanut may not have been a name that a lot of people have heard, but if he got popular with Sea of Thieves, there was going to be a lot of people who picked up Sea of Thieves and played it because of him. There would have been a lot of people, in the same way that Summit 1G brought tucking as a popularity thing for in double gunning, popularized that with the Sea of Thieves community, bred an entire group of people out there who were tuckers running around in no shoes and black shirts and black pants, double gunning. Why Rare had to react to double guns when you could mouse wheel the swap and have instant, it's why the Eye of Reach has such a really bad hip fire accuracy, because it was literally less than a second kill. Like, that's the kind of impact that streamers can have sometimes when you have some of the bigger streamers come and check out your game. And if you lose that opportunity, you lose a lot of sales. Whether it's a positive experience for the community or not does not matter when it is impacting your sales. So that is one of those things that Rare saw. Oh, we just lost a lot of money, and we lost a lot of money because of stream snipers and DDoSers on one streamer who was trying to showcase Sea of Thieves, and we didn't get ahead of it, and we didn't have the tools in place to be able to make that easier for them. So what are they doing? They're taking all those settings and they're putting it into a streamer mode button. So it automatically hides the information that people need to be able to get on your server, to be able to find where you're at and then attack you on purpose to stream snipe you. So I'm glad that they're doing that, because that will help the next burnt peanut that comes along that decides to give Sea of Thieves a chance. And this isn't even this isn't even the first time that this has happened. There was another big streamer who I didn't actually know before the burnt peanut that came in and tried to bring back Sea of Thieves from the dead, which I argue not the case, but the intent was there to bring popularity to Sea of Thieves, because his community literally said, go play Sea of Thieves. And he tried and it failed, and it's on rare to not have those tools available. And it really sucks to lose out on the potential of more people finding Sea of Thieves. But to be perfectly honest, when the game is in the state that it's in right now, I would be very interested to find out how people approach it, because there are people that come to the game and they're fresh to the game and they don't know that a lot of the bugs in this game are actual bugs and not just how the game is supposed to be. Because right now it feels like working as intended, but a lot of the people that have been around have seen the issues and know this is not what's supposed to happen. So the sea change is happening. This was one of the few videos that I've heard from Drew that sounds like there's been actionable progress at the studio level. That one, they're not making promises. They're not saying what content's coming out, and they're not going to focus on that content because the game health is an issue right now. They're going to focus on a few key attributes. And one of that is that they are going to be bringing cosmetics to the outpost. How they're doing that, I think, is a little shady. And I don't think that they're being 100% honest with that, because I have yet to see what Season 20's Plunder Pass looks like. But if Season 20's Plunder Pass doesn't have a ship set and a clothing set in it, and lo and behold, a ship set and a clothing set make their way to the outpost in Season 20, I can tell you right now, them addressing the cosmetic issue in in-game shops was not fixed. It was cut out of another system and stitched onto the issue that is at hand. So you lose the cosmetics that were in the Plunder Pass, and now you have to go spend gold or doubloons to buy them. That's my theory. I'll wait to be proven wrong, but I do think they're being a little kind of hand wavy about where these cosmetics are now coming in. They did say that May is going to bring in a new set of cosmetics. I'm happy to hear that. I'm interested to see what they are. I'm glad that we're done with the arena equipment and weapon bundles. I'm glad that we're done with the Resolute stuff. Shout out to the red set though. The red set actually looks pretty good. I do like it. It's very plain, but I like the iconography, but I already picked those up, so I'm good on those. I'm glad that Rare is doing the thing that they should be doing. Cosmetics are the reason people play the game, to gather gold to buy stuff in game. If you're getting gold to buy nothing in the game, and the stuff that you have in there is blah compared to the stuff that's coming to the Emporium, there's no reason to have gold. Just like there was no reason to have doubloons. Them putting this silver coin set as the ship set through the black market, that sounds like a Plunder Pass set. That sounds like a set that was coming in for the Plunder Pass on the premium tier, on the Plunder Pass tier. And if you want to spend doubloons on that, I think that's fine. I think it's fine to give you that kind of content that way. In the set that may be coming from the Plunder Pass in Season 20 to the outposts, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But give players a reason to actually buy cosmetics, because it's the only thing you can actually buy in this game. You can't buy power. You can't buy ships. You can buy ships technically, but the ships are all the same. It's just a different one for you to dress up however you want. We need to have variety in the game. We need to have ship variety. We need to have variety in the stuff that we're doing. We're getting that in certain ways, but if there's nothing to buy, there's no reason to have gold. And people are just going to go out and sink people and then not care about treasure. And there's less incentive for people to fight, because treasure's easy. They'll just drop or dive out. And that takes me to the last little bit of stuff that I want to talk about when it comes to the dev update. And that has to do with the experiment that they're going to have in season 20. This is new. This was not something that I was expecting, and I think it might actually work. So during season 20, the raid voyages that you can do to go to different world events are going to be taken off of the map or off the captain's table. So you can't dive to raid voyages for world events. You can still go to sea forts. You can still do treasuries, shrines, whatever ones that you have. The ones that are not world events, you can still do dives to. So if you're concerned about the commendations that are going to be there, then those are going to be fine. You can still do, I think, 4 of the 12 that are available. If I remember off the top of my head, I looked at it 4 days ago. So you should still be able to complete the commendations for raid voyages, because I think you have to do 10 per faction or trade company. So those are fine. But in season 20, they're not going to allow you to dive to a world event anymore. And the reason for it is that people don't want to go fight over a world event to get a measly amount of Hunter's Call treasure or Order of Souls or Gold Hoarder treasure. They want an actual world event level of loot. And if somebody dives into one, even when it's active, it will change the loot pool to whatever that raid voyage was. And to be perfectly honest, those voyages are not worth the time. The fact that I had to do so many of them to get specific items for those turn-ins was annoying. It was extremely annoying. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't care about the gold. I was trying to get the completion. So what did I do? I dove to an Ashen Lord. Why? It's the quickest to kill. Does it give you much loot? No, it gives you like 4 items. But one of those is important to the commendations, especially for Hunter's Call. And that's why I did it. Not because it was fun. Not because it was something that I wanted to do, because it was the only thing that I could do that was worth the time that got me the thing I needed for the completion. Is that the way everyone plays? No, but that's how a lot of folks are willing to do that content. So this experiment will probably do well. Why? Because they've said every world event is going to be a naturally occurring world event and has a chest of fortune in it. The chest of fortune grades have stopped. They stopped at 10. There's a set number of chest of fortunes that you can earn in the game and will eventually stop needing to get. Is that the right thing to do? We'll see. Is it going to help with players who gave up because there were so many different grades that were coming in each season that they fell behind and felt like there was no reason to try and bother because there was no way they were going to catch up? Yeah, I think that might actually help. It's why I think a lot of folks are jumping into Insiders, because they can get a skeleton camp done, get their 20K turned in, and start working towards the rewards there. Do they care about testing the game? No. Some people will, some people won't. Some people will and not go to the forums and report the bugs. Some people will go in and just get their skeleton camp done and call it good. And that's the fact of the matter there. But the fact that Drew said that they're going to do an experiment to remove the raid voyages from world events, it enriches world events. It turns world events into worthy endeavors now. And I appreciate that. I think that is a smart move. I hate the loot pool that they give you for a world event. I also hate getting to a world event that was contested only to find out that it was a dive to. And I would much rather just have the world events be their own bespoke thing with the loot pool that they have and a full value out of those. And the fact that they're throwing in the cherry on top for people to go do them with a chest of fortune just means that you have an opportunity to go do the world event that you enjoy and can actually go and have a good time and get rewarded with a chest of fortune, even if you don't care about the other stuff. I appreciate that. Stuff like having the 15 Athena chests in the chest of, or the world event as a chance was a good thing to do for the game. Having the opportunity, and it's like I've said in the past, have the world events so that a chest of fortune has a chance to be in there. Are there going to be ways for people to go to a skeleton fort, die in front of the door and actually see if the chest of fortune's in there? Yes. But that's fine, because even if they don't do it, that world event will despawn eventually, which means that another one will spawn eventually, which means that new one has a chance for a chest of fortune as well too. Otherwise, I don't know what the point is of having the raid voyages. They got to figure out a way to get the raid voyage trinkets out of the world events and into other voyages at that point. But to be perfectly clear, most of the raid voyages, honestly, and I bleeped that word, even though it wasn't a curse word, I still bleeped it because of the harshness that I felt saying it, because they really do just, and I hate to say it, but and that's probably why I bleeped it out again. But put those in, make the raid voyages fun, make the raid voyages worth doing. And if you have something like that, it's going to be more interesting for players to actually engage with that content. Rare has the analytics on this. I would love to understand what the percentage of players going to do raid voyages choose Sea Fort or Skeleton Camp or Treasury or Shrine, and look at that content and see, do we care about this? How can we spruce it up? And if you do something like that, I think that there's a better opportunity for those to actually be worth doing, having a reason. You guys had commodities and you killed them because you destroyed the gold value for them. Before then, people were actually doing commodities. They were actually enjoying it because it was good gold. You took out the gold for it. Now people don't do them. So the people that are doing them are the people that are exploiting and duping the crates. And then they're the people that are trying to get the commendations done for them, which is another thing out of the game health bash that you guys talked about, the nautical miles issue, which just doesn't register half the time, or they're just too high, or the commendations, the commodity crates, and just the issues going on there. This was a very hopeful video. It was a very hopeful video for me to actually feel like Rare is actually looking at the issues that they have with the game right now, ironically enough, and saying that those are things that they're now aware of. Good. Talk about the things you're aware are wrong. Address those directly. Let us know that those are now focuses on the fixes coming. I don't need a timeline. I don't need a number of sprints, but I want to know in a month how things are going, and that's fine. I don't think that is if you're going to do a dev update to let us know what the developers are doing, just keep us abreast of the situation, of the issues that we're running into, that you're aware of, that you're working to fix, because otherwise we're just going to sit around and be frustrated. So I think I'm kind of done talking about Sea of Thieves for right now. I think this episode has gone on long enough. I think I've been frustrated enough with it. I think I want to talk about Windrose. All right. So I wanted to bring up Windrose for a couple reasons. One, it's a new game and it's centered around pirates. And two, it's actually really good. If you guys haven't checked out Windrose, it is currently available on Steam. And I believe it is it's $30. No, is that 30? Yeah, it's $30 naturally. And there's an introductory offer right now for 10% off. So I think it's $27 American right now. It is an early access game on Steam, which means that the game itself is not in its 1.0 finished state. But what I will say is that there is a lot of the game that is currently done. I've been very impressed with it as a whole, and it started out as a MMO, essentially, like a first person or like a multiplayer game. They were going to do free to play, and they were going to have a whole bunch of monetization models to have with it, but they've decided to scrap that and make this a PvE survival adventure game. What that means, if you haven't ever played a survival action game, I would recommend going to play Grounded or Grounded 2. Both of those are fantastic games that are in the survival genre. Rust is a very popular one, even though I don't think that it's a very good game in some instances. They have a lot to work on. And that's where Windrose comes in. And Windrose does what, and for folks, for OGs, know that I used to talk about Atlas. And Atlas was that Ark survival skin, pirate skin on top of, I actually think it was Arc Primal. You could get your way to Arc Primal if you hit the right button on the menu. And it was really like, oh God, they really did just take Arc Rival or Arc Survival and put a pirate theme on top of it. Windrose feels like it's its own game. It feels like a mix of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Skull and Bones with survival, kind of like a Rust or a grounded game or Enshrouded, where you have stuff like or Valheim. Actually, I would say Valheim is probably a better comparison. It feels like Skull and Bones and Assassin's Creed Black Flag went and made a game with Valheim and survival games like that, where you have food buffs that increase your health depending on the combination of food that you cook. You have to scavenge for wood and stone to be able to build building parts, and then you have workshop tables and supply barrels and stuff that you have to put your components and things into. You build stuff as you then get the ability to have a ship. You start out with a dinghy, and then you sail around to different islands to discover new lands, discover new materials that then help you kind of grow or like increase your power, upgrade your weapons, upgrade your equipment, upgrade your clothing. You get talent points to be able to invest into the way you like to play. So if you like to have like mostly guns, if you like to have blunt weapons or sharp weapons, you can kind of focus on the type of weapons you want to have in there. You can increase your stamina, your strength, your health, things like that. A lot of MMO aspects to it, but not a straight up MMO. I actually think that New World is kind of a good comparison, but this is very much a pirate game. And so far, in the 4 to 5 hours that I've played of this, I've only spent time on the first island, but I have genuinely loved the time that I've spent with it. I've been killed by dodos, by boars, by zombies, or like drowned humans that have been resurrected as zombies that are now wandering around, by giant crabs. It's been really, really nice. And all I've really done is just gone and explored a few different like points of interest, but the world is beautiful. It runs really well. There's a couple hitches when I go in and out of like my, barrels for supplies and stuff. But considering this is a game preview right now, it's a $30 game available on Steam, and you get to actually have like brigates, or brigantines and frigates, or no, frigates. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Galleons, things like that. You get to actually build your own townhouses. Like you can, the crafting of your pirate home is expansive. It's literally up to what your imagination is. And you can decide how you want to build. If you want to build a fortress and a dock connected to your ship, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. And they've got a lot of plans in place right now. They've got a lot of zones opened up. There's, I was watching Falcor's video, he got pre-access to it. I don't know who the PR team is for it, so I didn't know who we should be reaching out to, because Luke usually has a bunch of contacts with PR to be able to get access for previews and stuff. He says he put about, Falcor says he put about 50 hours into it to get the main quest done. And that's not including like all of the side quest stuff. And I genuinely love the fact that this game is posing itself as like a true game that you can play with your friends. One of the things that I will say about this game that is rough is the fact that this is all server based. You can buy a server to have running constantly that anyone can then log into and play. Like, ironically enough, I got a promotional email from a server company who was attempting to reach out to Captain Falcor. It literally said, "Hey, Captain Falcor," in the email to me. So I don't know if that was just a bug, like they didn't realize, like, I'm not Captain Falcor, or they just sent one to him and then forgot to change the name to Captain Logan when they sent it to me. I don't know, but they tried to solicit me on a server to be able to do this. And at the moment, I don't know what the max number of players on a server is. But there's no team-based thing, but it's all shared progress in some cases. Like the people that you're spawning in and working with or who are tied to you, it's open. So while people jumping into a server that already exists will have to go through the introductory quests to get those knocked out, to play catch up, you can absolutely do little feeder things. And in some cases, you can funnel better equipment to people who are coming into the game for the first time onto that server. So you can absolutely give them strong weapons, strong gear, strong food to be able to blow through a lot of those early quests to get them done so they can get caught up to where you're at. There are absolutely bosses in this game that you have to kill to unlock new things. There are a lot of upgrades available. There's a lot of different types of weapons that you can use as well too. You can dual wield weapons if you want. So if you want a sword and a flintlock, you can absolutely do that. But you are going to have to invest time to actually like build gunpowder and bullets for those as well too. So there's lots of ways that you can really invest your time into this, and the systems in place are standard across what I expect out of most modern day survival games, and they've done them well. And in fact, the building in this game is some of the best building that I've seen in a survival game, with maybe the exception of Grounded. Anytime you destroy something, you get all the supplies back. You can build and destroy however much you want. You can absolutely do like multiple large swaths of things that you're building. So if you know you're going to build a fence, or you know you're building a wall, you can absolutely click and drag and build the entire thing in one sweeping run, instead of having to place each individual wall piece or each individual part of the fence. You can upgrade your ships. You can go in and get crews. You can go and genuinely have a really awesome pirate experience in a way that I think was something I wanted out of Skull and Bones. And for me, Skull and Bones does a really good job, but it has still got a lot of jank. And that's because it's being built by a lot of different studios, and there's still a lot of issues there. And I just ended up running into that situation where I hit a hard wall and I could not upgrade my ship, and I had to pass through some higher level areas that my ship was not ready for, and I kept getting decimated, and eventually getting the supplies and things just got so convoluted that I gave up, and I did not have fun at that point. And I was like, man, that's a shame, because Skull and Bones is a very beautiful game. I love the way the storms are. I love the way the creatures are in the world. I love the combat with the ships. It's very much like World of Warship or Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Windrose has this, and it's fresh and it feels good, and they've done a nice job. And the cost of entry is literally what the sale price of Sea of Thieves is as an early access game. Do you have to jump into early access? No, you can absolutely wait till they do a 1.0 when they get around to it. Who knows when that will be, but I can tell you that there's enough in this game from what I've seen from like Falcor and other streamers, as well as what I've played myself, to know that as an investment for this game, if you like survival games or are okay enough with survival games to let that slide, and you want to build your own pirate hideout, and you want to have multiple ships and have big ships with lots of cannons, and you want to look like a pirate, and you want to upgrade your weapons and upgrade your gear, and absolutely feel like you are progressing in the game and dealing with monsters and other pirates and stuff like that, Windrose is going to offer that. How much they offer that is going to be dependent on what your expectations are, but I would really recommend you go out, you take a look at what some streamers are doing with it, and see if that's something that is interesting to you. Because right now I can tell you, in the 2 servers that I jumped into, where I got up to the completion of the main introductory quests for it before I go sailing out, I have really enjoyed it. I think they've done a great job making the world beautiful. It's luscious. You don't have to worry about the wilds making you feel down right now. And I've gone in and built 2 very different types of homes. Each one looks really good. I've enjoyed it. But then when I look at what other people are doing in videos, I think, man, I need to go and start studying architecture so that I can build the palisades of pirate wealth to my own. Like, I want to go build a fort. I want to build like exotic archways and stuff. And I can't wait to go expand my abilities with the game to be able to go find out how to build all that. And it's so exciting to feel that in a pirate game. So I will keep folks interested in what's going on with Windrose. If that is something that you guys are enjoying, as long as I'm enjoying it, I'll definitely be putting that in the podcast when I think that there's a reason to bring it up. But what I will say is that right now I've seen a lot of promise in a game that has not taken 8 years to develop and then failed to launch like Skull and Bones did, which by the way, I will say Assassin's Creed Black Flag is getting a resynced version that is going to be announced, I believe, at the end of this month. That will then hopefully be released either May or June. So if you're a fan of Black Flag and want to play that, I have heard a lot of smoke and fire around that being a thing that is going to absolutely happen this year. So with that, I will say I wish that there was a more unified version. One of the things I like about Sea of Thieves is it's drop in and drop out, and the world is there. It's always present. You never have to worry about like who's hosting the server. You don't have to worry about servers being set up so that anyone can log in at any time. Those are issues. Those are things that I don't like, but I find that with most survival games, I have to deal with that with Grounded. I have to have multiple servers, and I have to have those servers with different friends, because each one has different progression paths that they've gotten through. There's different points. Sea of Thieves, everyone has the same power. You can drop in, drop out. It doesn't matter. You can play with swabbies. You can play with vets, and it doesn't matter because everyone has the same amount of damage from their sword and sniper and flintlock pistol. That's not going to be the case for this game. So if you have a dedicated crew that you play with on a regular basis, and you guys want to build and progress on your own terms, if you've ever played a game like Enshrouded or Valheim or Grounded or Rust or Raft or Conan, Age of Conan or Ark, all of those mechanics, if you've enjoyed those to any degree and don't mind them, and you want a fresh pirate experience, Windrose is going to be that game. And I don't think that the $30 for what they're offering right now is too bad. I think it's actually pretty good. It's good enough that with the 10% off, I was totally fine dropping the $27 on this to have the experience to then be able to bring to you guys to say, this is worth the time. If you've never played a survival game, I think the tutorial is good enough to explain what you need to do to be able to figure it out. If you have someone that has played a survival game, I would absolutely ask if they're jumping into this and then bring them along so that you can then get a good little Sherpa experience. If you're playing this game and want to have that experience, want to have that kind of explanation or understanding of what to do or how to do things, I am in the Discord for Keelhauled. Feel free to absolutely ping me in the Discord, and if you have a question, I will try to help out, but bear in mind I am still on the first island. I have not gotten to set sail, but I would absolutely love to chat with folks and see what their experience is. See pictures of what you've built as well too. See pictures of your pirates and how you look, because you absolutely do look like a pirate. You look like a straight up pirate out of like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. It looks good. It feels good. It's made well. I'm very happy with my experience so far, but I have not had a whole lot of time to really get beyond the first island to see if there's teeth to this game. But I will say right now, what they're showing, the growl's worth it. The bark is worth is promising that the bite's going to be impactful. So I'm going to leave it at there. I think Kraken Express has done a good job with it, and I hope that they do a good job in the future, and I hope that people stick with it. I think in its introductory weekend, I noticed that it had as many active players playing Windrose as Marathon did, and that's from Bungie. That's from the company who made Destiny 2, Destiny 1, Halos 1 through 3. Like they built Marathon, and Marathon is very polarizing, but the pedigree of the studio is absolutely a cachet for how good Marathon is if you want to play that. Windrose was at that level of popularity on Steam as a preview game this weekend in the opening weekend for it. Now, granted, Marathon has had time to kind of simmer off. It came out a while ago at this point, like last month. So absolutely, there's going to be some drop off, and people are going to jump into other games like Pragmata or something replaced. You know, there's a lot of good games coming out right now, but I'm very excited for Windrose to have this kind of, positive experience. Right now over on Steam, it's sitting at 89% with over 8,000 reviews. 89% is like, that is, it's almost a 9 out of 10 for a game preview. So I can't speak too ill of it right now. I will say there are some things that are framey on my experience with like getting in and out of storage containers. I will say that having everything being built specifically for each server, that you have to have like specific server based things to be able to play with different people, and the progression, the progression of your pirate can transfer over, but you may not always be in sync with who you're playing with. That is an issue, but the gameplay is good. The survival mechanics are solid. The game looks great and it runs well. So I've been very, very happy with it from that perspective. So take that with a grain of salt. Know that I did not get a code for this. I'm not speaking well of it because they gave me a free copy of the game. I paid for the game. I looked forward to the game. I've been enjoying the game, and I will say that I am happy with my purchase so far. So I'm going to leave that at that. If you guys are listening to this, I'm going to be putting gameplay up for Windrose during this section. So if you want to see what my experience was on the second beginning island that I started, because I forgot to capture it the first time I was actually playing, some of my gameplay is going to be on the video version of this over on YouTube. So if you want to know what it looks like when I'm playing through it, you will absolutely see me running around dying to dodos or boars as I'm trying to build up a little hut, just for the sake of getting through the introductory quests so that I can get my dinghy and then jump back onto the seas to actually go complete some of those secondary quests after that introductory island. So I think that is going to round out my thoughts on it so far. Again, not completed the game, only got about 4 to 5 hours worth in it. Still very happy with it. All right, pirates, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. I wish I felt stronger or less agitated by Sea of Thieves. I genuinely do, because playing through it, there were definitely points where I was sitting there sailing around from island to island thinking, God, this game looks really good. It's so much fun just to actually grab the sails and turn them. It feels good to have control over the ship itself. It feels good to be like interacting with all the parts of the ship, and nothing's like automated with NPCs or anything. I love that aspect of Sea of Thieves. I think it's one of the biggest boons to it. I just wish it was in a better state. I just wish it was a better state so that I felt more positive about my playtime in there, which is why when I jumped into Windrose, I had such a good time with Windrose, because I felt like I was not being punished for random bugs. Now, whether or not those bugs were there, I will never know, but it was a positive enough experience not running into stuff that was broken that I was like, I think this is where I want to put my time right now. And I don't blame anyone for thinking the same thing either. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I hope you guys learned a little bit about what's going on with the Bilge Rat Weekender. I hope that we have more than just the one Bilge Rat Weekender this act, so that players are able to get those deeds done if they just were out of town or busy or in the hospital. Who knows? They could have been traveling abroad, going to London to go check out all these exotic Viking figureheads and ships, and seeing the location of Turkey Goat Lives from the mystery a couple of years ago when Sea of Thieves did mysteries and adventures and stuff. Shout out to Godhammer. I'm glad you made it back safe, by the way. It's one of those things that I hope that folks are able to complete the deeds if they didn't get them done. If not, it's just it's a makeup set. It's not the end of the world, but it is going to be one of those things that people are going to be like, that sucks. I didn't get that. And maybe that's where we're at. Maybe that's where Sea of Thieves is at, that not everyone's going to get access, or not everyone's going to be able to get everything. And that's a shame, but for whatever reason, they decided to bring back a whole bunch of old cosmetics from seasons that have been in the past to try and justify the reasons why they've made the choices for the doubloons the way they are. We'll have to wait and see if that works out. I hope it does. I hope it absolutely does. I think that Duke having stuff, which by the way, we're late enough in the episode that I will spoil this. There's not going to be anything else. This is the outro. So if you guys have listened this long, thank you. If you don't know where Duke is, you can always go check out Rare Thief. I'm going to let you know right now. For the foreseeable future, Duke is at Discovery Ridge. He's behind the waterfall in the caverns, in the tunnel system in there. So if you got to this point and you didn't know and you didn't have an opportunity to pause it, I apologize, but now you know. And it's not bad that you'd know, but if you were going out and decided to hunt him, I thought he was going to be at the Arena Tavern, but he wasn't. So I had to go look it up, and I'm glad that I did, because I went and gave Rare Thief some time visiting his website, so that me and them can have some more traffic on that server, to let them know that I appreciate them for constantly being fantastic Sea of Thieves content creators. We're completely unbiased about their opinions on the games. They just provide the guides and the updates to the map, which is infinitely important for the game from a community perspective. So please go give some love over to Rare Thief as always. And I think that's going to do it, Pirates. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do love and appreciate all of the conversation that you guys had this weekend. And I know a lot of you worked really, really hard this weekend to try and get your doubloons. So I will say congrats to, I believe it was Blue Crab, who went and worked their butts off this weekend to try and get the doubloons that they needed for stuff. Very impressed with that. Very happy for them who were able to actually get that all knocked out. There's been a lot of good conversations going on in the actual Discord, and I've really appreciated that you guys are having such a good, reasonable expectation on what you want to talk about and stuff. So I love that you guys have had that. Shout out to Gigaheart over on YouTube, who unfortunately missed the messages about purchasing items from Larinna as far as the doubloon items and stuff like that. I try to mention that time limited stuff. I will tell you, there is still time on the Microsoft rewards. I'm actually going to go see if I can grab what the rewards thing was, because there's that one that's still going on right now. You still have time to go in and do your Bing searches on mobile and on desktop, and visit Rare's website to be able to get the cosmetics for that. Let me see if I can find out. Let's see if there's a time. So it's the Ancient Coin Pack. It's the Lustrous Legend Secret Stash Pack. You can redeem reward for that. It takes, let's see, the lowest denomination is going to be 1,700 points. You get 150 ancient coin, and you get the actual sales for the Lustrous Legend sales. So that is still available. There's also the punch card that's available for Sea of Thieves as well. I'm trying to find where the heck that punch card is. And I really hate the way that they do this sometimes, because it's not always easy to find out where they're hiding the punch cards to be able to do this. So I'm scrubbing through the website because it was impromptu. I did not have this open. I still need to get a couple days of Bing searches on my mobile phone, which honestly, the easiest way that I found to do that is going to be through the Bing, B-I-N-G app on your phone, and using that as a way to get credit for the searches. Oh gosh, I really don't like the way that they do this. Punch card. Where the heck? There it is. I found it. Okay. So the punch card is for the Lustrous Legend flag, which I genuinely don't blame anyone for not caring about this. You can activate the punch card. You can visit the Sea of Thieves official site. You search 7 separate days on Bing's website on desktop, and you do seven separate days on Bing on mobile. and then you can claim the reward to get the Lustrous Legend flag. There are still 72 days as of the recording of this episode to be able to complete 7 days. You have a week. There's literally 72 days left in this. So you have plenty of time to do it, but I'm bringing it up on this episode. Hopefully you guys still listen to I know I said there wasn't going to be anything else, and I apologize for that. But hopefully you all are able to remember to do this. I am still 0 out of 7 on this. I'm literally grabbing my phone right now so I can open it and go do a quick Bing search. Do I even have the Bing app installed on my phone? Yes, I do. We're searching how many days left in season 19 of Sea of Thieves. Searching 10 days left in season 19 of began. It will end on season. No, Copilot failed. That was a waste of energy. Congratulations. Hopefully that counted. Let's refresh and see if it actually counted. It did actually count. Congratulations. I'm now 6 days left on my Lustrous flag. I don't know why I bother. Sometimes it's so ridiculous what I do for the cosmetics in this game. Why I need to collect it, I don't know, but that is still available. You can head over to Microsoft Rewards. There's a sweepstakes thing that you can go to. There's also a wallpaper thing. I found out that if you go to not the Xbox app, but on PC, if you go to the Microsoft Store, the actual like Microsoft Store application on your computer, there is a section there that is called Windows Themes. The Windows themes are what you would normally do when you personalize your computer. If you go to like your personalize your computer, it'll show you like themes that you can click on. In those themes, Rare has actually added an entire Sea of Thieves theme for your Windows 11 computer. I don't know if it's on Windows 10, but it's on Windows 11 for what I got, right? I installed this. It has lots of different actual like screenshots from the game for different updates. So it's got Smugglers League, it's got Gold Hoarder, it's got Hungering Deep, it's got all of these different themes from different updates that are part of your wallpaper, and it cycles through them, and it has different ones on different monitors as well too. So it's not the same on every single one. And I've been very happy with it so far. Like because normally I have like the typical like Sea of Thieves is my background. Like my lock screen is from one of the Festival of the Damned ones. And in this case, when I installed it, it cycles through multiple Sea of Thieves wallpapers, and I'm like, this is fine. This works. This is actually what I want. They've got a SpongeBob one. They've got a Ninja Gaiden 4. They've got a Razor Action one. There's a whole bunch of different ones in here. They've got a Galaxy one. But I'm glad that Sea of Thieves out of nowhere just showed up. I found it randomly one day. It's a Sea of Thieves official one. It's got 6 ratings out of 4.0. I don't know what the reviews are on this. There's 6 ratings on this. There's a 3-star, a 1-star, and a 5-star. I feel like this is a podcast review at this point, but I've enjoyed it so far. So if you guys have a computer and you want to have something from like Cursed Sails or Skeleton Forts or the Hungering Deep or the Eternal Guard as your wallpaper, and you just want it to cycle naturally when you boot up or when it changes on its own, that is going to be through the Microsoft app. I can't believe I said forever ago that I was like, oh yeah, there's nothing else coming after the Duke reveal. So I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet because I need to get this episode out for you all so that you guys have something to listen to for your Monday. Because if you don't have something for your Monday, what else are you gonna do? There's nothing else you could possibly do on your Monday outside of just live in the drudgery of work. And I don't blame that. So I hope you guys at least have a better Monday because of this episode. But I can already tell that this is going to be a salty episode up until the point where I started talking about Windrose. And then I started going on this giant tangent of other stuff after I talked about how there wasn't going to be anything afterwards. So Pirates, thank you. I love you. And I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.